Welcome to the Human Nature Channel. I'm your host, Alex Tamsula, and what am I doing here? Well, what I'm doing here today is talking about two mass shootings that occurred in recent memory. The Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre in Las Vegas on October 1st, 2017, and the Pittsburgh Synagogue shooting on October 27th, 2018. How I stumbled upon a mysterious link between these two events is the subject of this video. First to Las Vegas. Let's begin our assignment talking about a video from a woman named Stephanie, who is at the Route 91 festival and is someone who has been interviewed by citizen journalist Laura Loomer and YouTuber Jason Goodman at Crowdsource the Truth. Stephanie, with her smartphone, captured on video a woman at the Jason Aldean concert falling to the deck of a veranda after a single shot. This was before the AR-15 bump stock started spraying the crowd and is visual proof of at least one sniping incident before the barrage started. Now, professional snipers trained by the military and those who are honorable take pride in the one-shot kill. Not gonna let the poor son of a bitch die a slow death by gut shot. Hope he'd show me the same consideration when we're out in the shit. Kind of a code of honor. So how can we prove or disprove a person like that was involved? I'm trying to ascertain this by asking how many shots were dead center in the forehead. More than two? Like in the John Cullen, John E. Hoover YouTube video entitled, "Right in the Forehead, yeah, that's dead center. Las Vegas shooting, LVMPD, body cam evidence, question mark." Interesting, because there doesn't seem to be anything in identified shooter Stephen Paddock's background suggesting he was trained as a sniper. And if there were a consistent pattern of shots to be found in those who were killed, that would lead in the direction of a second shooter with a specialized set of skills. Next, let's talk about the rooms rented by our killer. As a thought experiment, let's take the two rooms, two broken windows, and a two shooters hypotheses and find out if there's any explanatory power in it. The shooter in room 135 was just spraying bullets, and it'd have to be an awfully strong mofo to keep those beaten zones so close together. See YouTuber Brian Shields' The Fuzzy Math of the Las Vegas shooting for an explanation on what a beaten zone is. Basically, it's a forward-stretched oval kill zone. The recoil from an AR-15 with a bump stock bears a passing resemblance to handling a bucking bronco, even more so than a fully automatic AR. But I suppose if a person were physically strong enough and trained with this add-on that only a moron would use, maybe someone like that could keep those beaten zones close together. A second shooter may be revealed by a myriad of small details I've picked up from the many Las Vegas shooting investigation videos I've watched, specifically ones promoting evidence of a second person's involvement. The door between adjoining rooms 135 and 134 could only be deadbolted from the inside of room 134, FYI. The second individual, if he existed, would have to be a military-trained sniper in order to pick off concert-goers with any kind of precision. This while the first guy created havoc and maybe even cover for the sniper. One-shot kills are not easy to do. That takes skill. How many dead center forehead shots were there? How many one-shot kills? According to another John Cullen video titled "The Jet Fuel Tanks, the Balloon, and the Barrett 50 Caliber," 20 people were shot at the foot of the stage, and of those, 10 were headshots. 6 were women, 4 were men. And of the 58 people killed at the concert, 20 were shot in the head. Is that more than we could expect from a hard-to-control bump stock on an AR-15? Is that higher than we could expect from just randomness? There are devices called flash hiders on the market. There is smokeless gunpowder available for sale to ammo reloading enthusiasts. Military snipers would know ways of concealing muzzle flashes and smoke, possibly explaining why only vague photographic evidence has yet surfaced of anybody firing from those windows. And the flashes in room 135 captured in NBC News footage? Those were actually the fire alarms going off after the room was breached, and that doesn't count. I'm trying to create a picture here, and this is my telling of events with the details I've seen so far. And a fellow YouTuber's tip of the hat to retired CIA Station Chief Brad Johnson, who not only has highlighted details other investigators haven't focused on, but picks up YouTube views even slower than I do. So we have two rooms, 134 and 135. Broken windows in both rooms. As I said before, the door between these adjoining rooms could only be deadbolted from inside 134. Room 135 also had a deadbolt on the front door, and according to Johnson, there are sensors on those deadbolts so we know when they were thrown. The deadbolt in 134 was thrown first at about 9:30 p.m., and the 135 deadbolt was thrown not long after. If somebody had locked 134 from the inside and never unlocked it after that, they couldn't have gotten back into room 135. Let that sink in. Okay, 2 shooters, a sniper in 134 and a machine gunner in 135. Johnson also talked about the hose that was in the leaked photos. I saw that hose too, and I always wondered, what was it for? According to Johnson, the hose was to be connected to a gas mask found in room 135, the other end of the hose hanging out the window with a battery-operated fan. Looks as if the shooter in 135 was anticipating a breach to his room sooner rather than later and was ready for the tear gas and whatever came next. Whoever this guy was, it still looks as if he was planning on shooting it out with the cops and maybe even blowing them up as well. As we all know by now, the ad hoc team of officers responding to room 135 didn't breach the room until 70 minutes after the shooting stopped, a legitimate fear of the room being rigged with explosives explaining their caution. So was room 135 designed as a death trap for the cops? Might be a motive right there, if motive is really necessary. Want another motive I just pulled out of my ass? Ethnic cleansing. More on that later. Or how about the Las Vegas shooting was perpetrated by hired mercenaries and engineered by foreign business interests to bankrupt MGM Resorts through lawsuits and then buy up all its properties at fire sale prices? Nah, that's too simple. Sorry, but my bias is this. Everything is a rich man's trick. Of course, if you choose to believe this first-time murderer killed more people than some guys who've been in combat, more power to you. Back to our story, inspired by true events. A shooter in 134 would have to leave through his front door, but where does he go? The fire door to the stairwell still had that weird L-shaped bracket drilled into the inside frame, and it wouldn't open. Does our theorized shooter disappear into another room? Or maybe he's in a Metro police officer's uniform, gets off that floor and goes down to ground level where he acts as if he's responding to an active shooter. Or he takes the elevator up to the Four Seasons, which is actually a separate hotel on the upper floors of Mandalay Bay. Or he's dressed as a maintenance man in coveralls and is wearing a cap and carrying an empty toolbox. That would have worked too. Meanwhile, our machine gunner gets tired of waiting around for his big wild bunch shootout, or he's informed the plans have changed. What does he do? A suggestion comes from another John Cullen video where a woman can be heard saying, "Is that somebody going down a zip line?" Our killer is out of there, Jack, leaving a body on the floor for everybody to fret over, and all the media attention on Stephen Paddock serves as the greatest distraction one could imagine. If nobody is looking for them, the killer or killers get away. I'm still working the problem. If anyone sees any flaws in this, I'm sure you'll let me know. Oh, my bona fides? There was the Pittsburgh Synagogue shooting in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh on October 27, 2018, and I live just outside the city. I drive to Squirrel Hill almost every day to do banking, shopping, and to hang out with friends. My mother's family lived in the next neighborhood over, and I've been going to Squirrel Hill ever since I was in diapers. Another lone wolf shooter? Whatever you say. At this point, let's take a little detour and talk about the lovely and talented Laura Loomer. You may know who she is, you may not. She bills herself as a citizen journalist and is a well-known figure in alternative media news podcasts like the kind you find on YouTube. She's also been interviewed by Sean Hannity on Fox News and has received a couple of shout-outs from Rush Limbaugh, two conservative media figures who appear amused by her antics. Mainstream media, if they notice her at all, label her a member of the alt-right, although she really isn't. She's been called a conspiracy theorist by the same outlets, although she really isn't that either, save for her coverage of the Las Vegas Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre, where she has accused the Las Vegas Metro Police Department of a cover-up of what she believes, with some reason, to be an ISIS attack. Which does not seem to bother Hannity or Limbaugh, both known for being dismissive of conspiracy theorists. No, what Laura is a rising star in alternative media circles, and maybe the breakout star to cross over into the mainstream as a sort of neo-Ann Coulter, this time on steroids, amphetamines, and some hallucinogenic brew cooked up by a South American shaman and swallowed in one gulp. For our purposes here, I'm just going to run down some of her more noteworthy achievements and a fourth honorary mention in a class all by itself. Referencing Wikipedia, we see on June 16, 2017, Laura was arrested for disorderly conduct and trespass after jumping on stage during a performance of Julius Caesar by Shakespeare in the Park in New York City. She was expressing her disapproval of Doomed Caesar being played by a Donald Trump lookalike. Laura doesn't seem to know or care that productions of Julius Caesar in the past by Shakespeare in the Park have used actors made up to look like the current president as Caesar. That's a tradition. But it did get her on Fox News in the aforementioned interview with Hannity. We also see on September 5, 2018, Laura, while seated in the audience at a House Energy and Commerce Committee hearing on Capitol Hill, jumped up with her smartphone on a selfie stick and disrupted the proceedings by accusing Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, giving testimony at that moment, of censoring conservatives on Twitter and lying about it under oath. Missouri Republican Representative Billy Long, a former auctioneer, began, a $1 bid, now two, will you give me two, $2 bid, now three, will you give me $3 bid, now four. And Representative Long kept this up as Laura was escorted out of the building. Then on November 29, 2018, Loomer was banned from Twitter for singling out a newly elected member of the House of Representatives, Ilya Omar, in a tweet because Laura is anti-Sharia law. A week later, Laura handcuffed herself to the front door of Twitter headquarters in New York City in protest of her account being deactivated. This while wearing the Nazi-mandated yellow Star of David, which in Germany in the 1930s Jews were forced to wear. Despite a fondness for handcuffs, Laura still manages to get around. Here is a pre-nose job Laura getting selfies with former President Bill Clinton. And is that Alex Soros in the background? Small world, isn't it? Here is another picture of Laura, post-nose job, at Politicon in Los Angeles last summer, where she confronted Stormy Daniels' attorney Michael Avenatti, which turned into a Twitter back and forth between Laura and Avenatti, where she accused the lawyer of fat-shaming her in a tweet. And here is a photograph of the great red spot of Jupiter, courtesy of the Hubble telescope. No, I am not above a cheap shot. Although, to be fair, if I were confronting a lawyer representing a porn star, I'd wear a sleeveless red skin-tight mini dress too. Finally, on October 25, 2018, Andrew Gillum, mayor of Tallahassee, Florida, and the Democratic nominee in the 2018 election for Florida's governor, was holding a political rally in the Kol Ami Synagogue in Plantation, Florida. Laura, who is Jewish, showed up to cover the rally inside the synagogue and was asked to leave because her reputation precedes her. What followed next was Laura pitching something of a fit as she exited the building.
I'm a Jewish woman in a synagogue, and you're telling me I have to leave a synagogue.
Yes.
What is this, like Nazi Germany? You're kicking people out for their political views?
One
more word, you will be kicked out. I'm telling you
Is it because I'm a conservative Jew? Is that the reason why?
Let me talk.
Then what is the reason why you're kicking a Jewish woman out of a synagogue? Andrew Gillum is not a Jew. I'm a Jew.
Okay, that's got nothing to do with why we're asking you to leave.
This is a synagogue. This is my place of worship. I'm a Jew. Why are you kicking a Jew out of a synagogue?
We need you to stand up and leave the property, please.
I am not going to leave right now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like, there's no reason to make me leave. This is ridiculous.
That's their opinion.
Like
they're
Nazi
asking
Germany
you to leave.
Of making people leave
We're not
because
going to
of their
continue to ask
views.
you.
I want to know you. I'm a journalist.
Listen.
I have a constitutional First
I
Amendment
that.
right to be here. You know, my grandfather was arrested by Nazis in Germany. You are behaving just like the SS did when they kicked people out. They tried to oppress them for their views.
Please
This is
stand up.
ridiculous.
Please stand
You're
up.
kicking a Jewish woman out of a synagogue. Why are you kicking a Jew out of a synagogue? Are you kidding me?
No.
You are kicking a Jew out of a synagogue. This is an abomination. You are kicking a Jewish journalist out of a synagogue. Am I correct? You're kicking a Jewish female journalist out of a synagogue without reason. Why are you kicking a Jew out of a synagogue? This is total Jew hatred. You're going to let Andrew Gillum, who stands with CARE, a designated Islamic terrorist organization, speak inside your synagogue, but you're kicking out a Jew? I'm a Jew. I'm a conservative Jewish woman. This is disgraceful.
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? I'm a Catholic, see? And let's say I got kicked out of a bingo game in the basement of a Catholic church because I'm a really sore loser. Could I start accusing the people running the bingo game of being anti-papists? Would they look at me as if I just grew a second head? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was our brief intro into the wild and crazy world of Laura Loomer. Now let's get into the real wingnut stuff. First and foremost, I must assert that correlation does not always equal causation. I happen to be a big fan of Nassim Nicholas Taleb, author of The Black Swan and Fooled by Randomness, and other books where he warns us not to be fooled by randomness. I always try to keep that in mind. So I'm wondering if I'm looking at randomness here or something else. I don't know. Let's look together, shall we? We could start by asking Laura Loomer a question. Gee, Laura, Cesar Sayoc, the faux bomber who created a lot of fear lasting over a week with his delivered packages to prominent Democrats, billionaire George Soros among them, was arrested in Plantation, Florida on October 26, 2018, the day after you were kicked out of the synagogue in Plantation, Florida. How did you miss the biggest story of the week prior by instead going to Georgia and a Stacey Abrams rally? This is what gets me. With Laura's visit to Plantation, Florida one day, and Cesar Sayoc's arrest in Plantation, Florida the next, events so close together in time and space, what are the odds? When I saw Sayoc's arrest on the news, it blew my mind. I said of Laura, this girl's got a nose for news. And I tweeted this to @Lionel Media, @CS The Truth, @Meet the Press, @Laura Loomer, @Joe Biden, @Official Barack, @Senator Sanders, @Hillary Clinton, @Bill Clinton, @Real Donald Trump, and @Bo Derek. Friend of the Bush family, long story. Anyway, I thought the Plantation coincidence was pretty amazing. And I thought something was wrong. I really did. I felt there was some kind of escalation going on, and I even sent a tweet to the @GWB Library saying to President George W. Bush, using an oil wildcatting metaphor, I think I've hit a gusher. Like I said, this is October 26th. October 27th, 2018, the Tree of Life Synagogue shooting happened in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh. Like I said, I go to Squirrel Hill every day. On that Saturday, a friend of mine called me from a coffee shop in Squirrel Hill and alerted me to what had happened. The first thing I thought of? October 25th, Laura had been asked to leave the Kol Ami Synagogue in Plantation, Florida. What a coincidence. What are the odds? What are the odds of all of this happening in a 3-day span? I can't count that high. I've been a big critic of Laura Loomer on Twitter since June of 2018 when I started following her tweets. So imagine how a big critic of Laura Loomer like myself would feel when he has a mass shooting happen in his favorite neighborhood in a synagogue 2 days after Laura Loomer is kicked out of a synagogue. This may be convoluted, but I hope you haven't forgotten I was still reeling from the Plantation coincidence. I sent Laura a lot of tweets about this while she was still on Twitter. She ignored me. I guess I'm not important enough to be answered. Alternative media is really a populist media, and I find it funny how she sees no reason to respond. Okay. All of you watching this probably don't know a great deal about me, but since 2002, I've been interested in the appearance of the number 11 popping up in terrorist attacks and mass shootings. How many 11s can you find on 9/11? I can find some, but that was then. Now, 11 dead in Squirrel Hill. 11 days later, the Thousand Oaks, California shooting where 11 people were killed by the gunman. The sheriff's sergeant was killed by friendly fire. Oh, by the way, some of the people in that Thousand Oaks bar had survived the Las Vegas Route 91 massacre, and one was killed. It does kind of come full circle, doesn't it? Laura. I don't want to get fooled by randomness, but I'm having a tough time of it. Really, all I want is a comment from Laura about October 25th, 26th, and 27th, Plantation, Squirrel Hill. What's going on here, Laura? She often calls herself an investigative journalist, yet she doesn't see anything worth investigating here. Here's a speculation. Because of her Las Vegas Route 91 coverage, the FBI hates her guts and waited until she was out of state to nab Sayok because her running around that investigation is one pain in the ass they didn't need. What do Laura's sources at the FBI tell her? And if anybody wants to dismiss me as a total nut job, I'll make it easy for you. I should have gone into my TV is talking directly to me mode, the game of the double slash mode, MK Ultra mode. They are sending me a message. The next hit is in your backyard, Mr. Death Cult number 11. I wish I had gone there mentally. I wish I had gone nuts and gotten on Twitter on October 26th and started screaming, put Squirrel Hill on lockdown now. Who knows what might not have happened? With all this on the table before me, tell me, what am I supposed to think? Also, as an addendum, adding insult to injury, the Department of Homeland Security did a site visit of the Tree of Life Synagogue in March of 2018, almost 9 months before the shooting. They were in Squirrel Hill in March, and in October, we have 11 dead. Oh, I'm angry. It would have been better if the DHS had never shown up at all. You call this security? Anyway, back to Las Vegas, and let's weave this all into something like out of a Brad Thor novel. Let's return to the hose and gas mask I mentioned earlier, found in Stephen Paddock's hotel room at the Mandalay Bay. Whoever this psycho was, it seems like he was anticipating taking a stand against any SWAT team that came crashing through the door. And he planned on living to spend his money? Before SWAT would storm into room 135, they'd toss flashbangs, smoke grenades, and tear gas. And Sheriff Joe Lombardo of the LVMPD did say Paddock Schmaddock had an escape plan, although Sheriff Joe didn't elaborate. The final 3-page report issued by the FBI on the Las Vegas shooting contradicts this, FYI. But the notion of an escape plan plays into the, is that somebody going down a zipline statement from the John Cullen video. Our Room 135 shooter sounds more and more like a mercenary to me every day. Call me crazy, but I don't think this was our shooter's first rodeo. This guy knew what he was doing. This guy was a pro. The Merc gets on the ground, and finally one of John Cullen's helicopters does something useful and extricates him. I know I'm reading a lot into the presence of a hose, but it looks like one hell of a hose. The Las Vegas shooting. Does this look like the work of a first-timer to you? If you wish to argue any of the points I've made, feel free to leave a comment in the comments section below where I'll cook you in a big iron pot and eat you for lunch. But if you taste good, I'll give you a thumbs up. Please like this video. Please subscribe to this channel by hitting the icon in the lower right corner of the vid. Without subscribers, you're nobody till somebody loves you on YouTube. Please hit the blue bell to receive notifications of new videos, and please contribute to me at patreon.com/AlexTamsula, where you can take it to Jerome. That's how we keep the lights on. Hey, I just had a brain fart. Give me a sec. Hello, Interpol. This is Alex. How you doing? Yeah, what do you have on Serb mercenaries? I'm looking for ones with experience mowing down innocents, like in the Balkans back in the 90s. Specifically someone who might be the same age or bears a passing resemblance to Stephen Paddock. Someone with a reputation for doing anything for money. Someone with a reputation for doing anything. Yeah, I'm fishing. Yeah, I'll hold.